So what do you see in some of the corporate world? And I know Denver has a lot of small businesses. We're very heavy on small businesses, entrepreneurship, like the next Silicon Valley type of place. And I know communication can often be a struggle with small businesses. I mean, I see it in my personal life when you have a small team of 2 to 4 people, it's more like family than it is business. And then when you grow, get to 10, 20 employees, everything starts to shift and change. But are there some common challenges that you see with business owners, teams that is repetitive across the board in communication and how they struggle in business?
Absolutely. Um, the first word that came to mind was power struggle, right? There's this like innate power struggle. And I think when business owners ultimately are leaders and they're creating leaders, right? So when you're a business owner and you have created an atmosphere where employees are there to thrive in the business and help the team thrive, you're basically teaching them how to be leaders too. And so the power struggle basically comes in this place of both parties are wanting this mutual respect. And in order to lead someone into mutual respect, we first have to provide that respect. And when we can't provide that respect in a way in which our employees truly see that we're on a team and we're on a collective goal oriented focus, then there can be a breakdown in that because the power struggle is like, well, you don't care about me. You don't want to pay me well. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do I'm just a number to you, all these things. And so those kinds of feelings kind of underlie this power struggle. And as a business owner and as a leader, there is some sense of subordinate cause, right? It's like the person who is employed doesn't have all the same responsibilities as the business owner. And it's like, how do you mitigate knowing that this person works for you, but they're not a lackey or a slave, right? They're there to fill in the gap of a puzzle that helps to make the entire picture be more clear. So I think really getting into why that power struggle is happening and getting to the bottom of what gets triggered in the leader when an employee is going to say something that's obviously not leadership bound at times, right? Not to say that they're doing that all the time. It's that sometimes in that power struggle there's going to be words that come out that are not true leadership. So we want to step back again and just be curious, like, you know, I don't have a power struggle. I know my role. It's my business. You're working with the business. You're part of my business. You are contributing to my business. And right now, the contributions are not equal. So we need to figure out how we can create contributions that are equal so that we don't have this sense of toxic hostility between us so that we can get to this collective purpose so that you can get paid and I can get paid too.
Yeah. Yeah. I see the struggle all the time. And I think we have a different, maybe understanding of different phases where a business is growing. You might have to be different, I would assume, in different phases, but all we see are the Elon Musks of the world, the Bill Gates, the Steve Jobs, and we all know that they're likely assholes to work for. Like,
Mm.
we have never heard this common theme that like these high level CEOs are like, oh, they're super nice people to work for, right? I've never heard that from anybody. So we see that. And then I think there's that misconception that, you have to be a jerk to get people to do what you want. And then there's like the Gary Vaynerchuk approach, who's like, if you think these people work for you, you're wrong. You work for them
Yeah.
and they will work infinitely harder for you when they know you've got their back ultimately. And I know in a lot of the office scenarios where we're struggling job wise because there's so many people willing to fill these tech jobs, but kids getting out of college think that they're instantly worth 125,000 a year. So how do you balance that like expectation of what I'm worth as an employee? My worth as an employee is worth more than this company is willing to pay. And if they're not going to pay it, I'm just going to jump to the next one. Like, how do you set those boundaries as a business owner hiring young people?
Great question. The first thing that I thought of was, yes, they are worth that. Just like you are worth that, and you are probably worth more. And so what we want to do is create a environment in which they feel like they can grow and they can exercise their skills in a way that makes them feel valued and valuable to the team, and create a kind of accountability, responsibility, quarterly um, interaction with that employee that says, look, I know that this is your goal. I know that you are worth this. Unfortunately, the reality is we just don't have the revenue to do that right now. That doesn't take away from your worth. However, you are part of this team, and we love that you're a part of this team. And we want to create a growth chart or a growth process or a growth plan that we can put into motion so that you can feel like you are going to continue to reach those steps and getting to your ultimate goal of this, say, dollar amount. But also on the other side is, are we really seeking a dollar amount, or are we really seeking something that's valuable in our life and something that we really care about?
Mm,
I think with the younger generation, they just don't want to do wishy-washy work anymore. They want to do work that's meaningful. They want to do work that they care about. And so how do we impact the younger generation in caring? And we have to care in order for them to feel like they're cared about, right? And it just comes
yeah.
back to what you shared earlier, which is like, have their back, and have a real honest conversation about growth potential. Because the worst is when you're working for somebody and they're like, yeah, we see growth potential in you, and then they just kind of keep you at the same place, and there's no elevation, or there's no improvement in responsibility, or just continuing to put more tasks and no compensation. And so we really have to look at it from a state of true respect, because every single person is worth what they think they're worth.
Yeah.
And we all had to climb the ladder. And if a young person is like, well, this is what I'm worth right off the bat, then maybe that person likely isn't right for the company, right? But if they're willing to have an honest conversation with you and really go through this process of like, hey, this is what I see, this is what I see in you, this is the leadership potential I see in you, this is how I can support you in building yourself to that place, let's do it. You decide.
Most people don't quit because of the money. They mostly quit because of how they're treated and how they're advancing in their position. If you're not growing, you're dying, right? If you're a piece of fruit, if you're not ripening, you're rotting. And I think we all go through similar things in our life, and having a bigger purpose, maybe on the backside of their pay. Uh, I think it goes a lot further than we give it credit for. It's not just a job description that you're showing up for 9 to 5. Like, I think we're breaking that cycle a little bit of like, you show up from 9 to 5 and you work here for 40 hours and you get a retirement package and you're done. No, we know that stuff's not real. So we've gotten rid of all the advanced benefits of pensions and stuff like that. So now what is there? There's purpose. There's purpose in the work that we do. And if we don't have it, I'm just not seeing much of a follow through in the younger people to continue doing it. And that's why they will job hunt, and hop from one position to another until they find their purpose.